For various reasons over 30 years, I put this dream on hold. That all changed when this came out. The Ghostbusters Proton Pack at a fairly reasonable price as far as proton packs go. And of course, once you get this, you gotta get the uniform. And you gotta get the other stuff. The belt. I know, it's not gray yet, but it will be. The little key fobs. The gizmo. The knee pads that are actually elbow pads. And research. Is this the right patch for Ghostbusters? Is it bigger? Where can you get the right patch? Where can you get a name patch? Or do you want to be a character? All these things come into play when you get into the Ghostbuster costume realm. There's a lot of great forums where you can get a lot of good details and they give you some hints of where to get this. But this right here, $50. A gizmo can cost you $100. And let's not even go on the proton packs. A realistic proton pack can cost you thousands of dollars. But you don't have to do that. I've come up with ways on how to do the uniform, how to enhance this fairly good start on the proton pack. $15 for these fobs, and I'll show you all the places where you can get the best stuff at the lowest price, and how you can make your own pieces of the costume without spending a lot of money. So I'm going to start a whole series where I go through this, publish them one at a time. Maybe you're just interested in finding out how to do this, or the elbow pads, or the gizmo, or how to dye this belt. I'll have all separate videos on that, and if you want all of it, then you can watch them all. So let's get started. Today's video is on how to make these key fobs. From an inexpensive approach for a couple dollars to this realistic, authentic approach with leather for anywhere between $5 and $15, depending on how much of a scrounger you are. So let's go to a top-down shot and we'll get into the details on this part of the costume. On this build, I'm going to show you options. The cheapest and easiest way you can get this at a thrift store is you can make them out of computer bag straps or any kind of luggage strap. I'm initially going to do this and clean this up, but you know what? I just figured it wasn't worth my time, so I went and bought these, and I'm really glad I did. But more about that later. And there's different designs of hooks that you probably go with, depending on availability. The Ghostbusters hooks are not dark, they're shiny like this. So that's something to consider depending on how authentic you want to be. But this works, and it's probably $1 or so solution. What I ended up going with, though, ultimately, when I made these, is several options here. These are swivel eye bolt snap hooks, 3 inches, D-loops, and then these are split loops, a little over an inch. I'll post all the materials down below if you're interested. This here I actually made from the strap of my gizmo holder. More about that later. Post it up there and down below when it becomes available. And here I actually used a pop rivet to hold that piece in place. But ultimately the designs that I saw for the Ghostbusters, at least the initial costumes, had this kind of situation where it was on the belt, and I haven't done the belt yet, that's why it's white, and clipped down like this. And then this one comes down here like this and swivels. And then there's one like this, and then I'm going to do another one with a ring. I'll show you that one. These are leather, and here was my first one, and it was really hard because of the thickness of the belt. And what I'm using is a kid's belt, and it's important that it's reversible because you're going to do this. You're going to rip it apart. Both sides are leather, so you can take this off with a Phillips head screwdriver. It comes off pretty easy, and I paid $6.88, 1-inch thickness, for under $1, depending on how thrifty you are and how good your thrift stores are. And this one only has the 2 or 3 millimeter black side. There's advantages to that because it folds over and it's a lot more flexible, and yet it still accomplishes the snap. Now for this piece here, you could use a pop rivet if you have it, or you could use these Chicago binding screws. I use those for all sorts of projects. They're really awesome. It comes in 2 pieces like this, and you just tighten it together and it binds both sides. The tools are pretty simple too. A ruler, some scissors, box cutter or straight cutter, a screwdriver, and then a center punch. And if you don't have a center punch, you can do what I kind of do here. This is just a cork from a wine bottle, washer, and a nail run through the center, and you can use that as a center punch. And then you need some sort of hammer. You're also going to use this heavy-duty snap kit. You're looking at 9¼ inches, where these little divots are at 1/2 inch, a little less than 1½ inches, 3 5/8, and then out here at 8 3/4. You can stop the video, look at this for the exact dimensions. And that's where all the holes are going to be for the various pieces of hardware. Center punches are very handy. You can go with the nail, and there's different ways to make the holes. I found the quickest. You're just going to go down in here like this and drill a hole. And you're not too worried about that side because that's going to be concealed. So this becomes your template. And if you're worried about that, just turn it over and do the other side. And that'll help clean the hole up a little bit. And you could make all 4 of these that I'm showing. The last one is the one I'm making now with one of these belts. Straight edge and cut it right through. This is not how I started out. You can benefit from my experience and you take a lot less time making yours, which is what my channel is all about. I learn and then I share my projects with you so that you'll have a better idea. I want to kind of get this angle here, little curve like I have here. That's the end of the belt, by the way, and you can see where the holes are for the kids' belt, but you don't care about that because that's in the back. You can use a pencil or a pen and just get a general how you're going to cut it. So I'm just going to take these scissors and just cut it off like that. And you want to just smooth it out a little bit. Now, if for some reason you don't have a black edge, you can just use permanent marker and just finish the lines off. Now it's pounding time. The silver end. And this is where I was having a lot of problems using the thicker or the whole leather belt before I peeled off the black piece, is I wasn't getting enough edge here to hammer this home. On that one, you're going to use this, and then you go to this side, put that on there like that. So I took a scrap of the belt and I put it in place because this is going to be a spacer for the Chicago binding screws to make up some of the distance here. Unfortunately, when I shot this video, it just didn't tell me that it was done shooting for whatever crazy reason. So I'm going to go back through and I'll show you what I did here. This front piece, this part here on the bottom is this part, which is this piece and this piece. And then this piece here is this piece. You can see that piece on the black side. You take the little hammer well thing here, you put that piece down in there, you take the little star here and you put it down like that, you get your hammer, tap it a couple times. Now if you're worried about hitting yourself on that, just get a pair of pliers, stand off your hand, and that will just give it a nice firm, it's not going to pop out. Same thing with here, although you turn it over on this case and you put it in this little groove here, you get the little star thing. It's very important, whether you're doing the front or the back, it's going to be hard to show this, that you have this lip. Hopefully you can see. You want to make sure there's overlay so that that can be mashed down. So this is a recreation, reenactment, whatever. So you put it in there like this, and a couple, 3 times is all you need. And you're done. The reason why I use the Chicago binding screws is because if you use something like this, like a rivet, you're not going to be able to undo that to get to this piece. If for some reason you didn't want to use this round and you wanted to go to what you're seeing in all the pics, I know some people think it's this or any other ones. These are just cheaper than these. If you care about authenticity, you'll want this one right here. After doing a fit check, I just decided to stack up 2 pieces of this extra leather belt, pushed it in, and then I put the screw piece on that end. I'm going to use the circle this time, but I can always change my mind and just undo the Chicago binding screw. That's the great thing about it. And just tighten it up. Let's get our belt, do a fit check. The next time you see this belt, it's going to be gray. And it fits certainly under $15 and maybe $5 to $10 instead of $40 or $50. This is really an easy build. If you want that a little more bent, all you do is take a clamp like this, push it down in there, squeeze it off. I'll keep it in there for an hour or so. That way I put a permanent bend in it. Pretty happy with how these turned out. Thumbs up and comments, always appreciated. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in cosplay and costume builds, designs of all kinds, making and breaking stuff, home repairs, designs of photography equipment, sports gear, check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know, in this case, what kind of key fobs you're going to see.